Okay. Now here's what I'm gonna close out of this because I forgot to record it. So hang on 1 second. I have that other little preamble pre-recorded too, so I'll put that on Blackboard. But under models, I want to go new. Make sure I get this recorded. For the template, I want to choose Imperial Architectural Template. Very important that we choose that. Now we'll click OK. There we go. Okay. Was there a hand up? Yes. Was there?
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah, I have a question. Now, what if it doesn't say Imperial Architecture Template? It just says Architecture Template.
Oh, okay. So if it just says architectural, that's fine. I'm sorry. Yeah. So if you don't have 2021, it probably just says architectural, or but yeah, just you can use that one. Should be fine. Sorry about that. Good question. Thank you. Okay. Now we're in Revit. Okay, it's foreign. It's not AutoCAD or Rhino. So what I want to do is let's just start modeling some walls here. So on the architecture tab, click the wall button right here. Okay, notice now the interface changes. We have a temporary tab, we have options, and we have properties, okay? In the properties, what I want to do is I don't want to use a generic 8-inch wall. Let's click the drop down here, okay? And let's go to exterior brick and CMU on metal stud. Grab this one here. The very top one, exterior brick and CMU on metal stud. Okay. Now the height can be unconnected, that's fine, because we don't know how high it should be right now. We'll just let it be 20 feet high. We're going to change that tonight, actually, but not right now. The location line, however, this is important because we want to make sure that our wall is justified to the finish face exterior, to the outside of our wall, right? So if we go to location line, instead of wall center line, I want to go with finish face exterior. And that's because this is an exterior wall system, right, with exterior brick. So if you're to go measure this, if you're to walk up to this building, hook your tape measure onto the brick face, and you're going to drag your tape measure down, and you're going to measure the outside face of that building. So these are the constraints we want to hold, right? Because in Revit, sometimes most of the time, you're not going to know exactly the wall system that's going to be there when you start modeling. But it's good to know if you do change the thickness of it, you know which direction it's going to go in, okay? So we want to hold that location line to the finished face exterior. Okay. Now, what we want to do is I'm going to pull my cursor into the drawing area, and I don't really care where you start drawing this wall, but I'm going to pick a point like right about here. Pick a point, and I'm going to move my cursor over to the left. Right? Notice that it does snap horizontal or vertical. So if we move our cursor over to the left, what I want to do is I just want to type in 100 and hit enter. Okay. Revit knows that wants to be 100 feet long because the units of this specific template is set up for feet. Okay. Now we're going to move our cursor straight up. All right, and I want to type in 80, enter. Okay. Now, if we move our cursor over in this direction like this, notice that it will kind of align with the geometry that it picks up that's similar to it. Now, you can let it snap to 100 feet, or you could just type in 100 and hit enter. Now, if that temporary tooltip shows up like 99, 5 and a 16th, don't worry about that because that's dimensioning it actually to the center line of the wall. Okay. Now move your cursor down. I want this next increment to be 16 feet. If we move our cursor to the right, I want that increment to be 16 feet. Pick that point, hit escape a few times. Now we have the basic shape, okay? And this is where it will get tough to, if you don't quite have it, to see what you've got. And what I'm going to do also is I'm going to post this model that I do each week, just so you can look at it. I know it's mine, okay? So, but I mean, you can use it. I just want to make sure that you're keeping up, right? Because this model's not for a grade, and maybe in a couple weeks I'll have you just throw it up on Blackboard so I can see that you didn't just log on and you know, take off, or that you watched the videos. But I'm going to post this each week also after class, just so you can look at it if you get off. Okay. Okay. Now, I want to now create a reference plane that goes right across the middle of this, and you'll find that these are very useful to have, because we're going to use that to basically mirror. Because I want to mirror, you know, these two walls down to here, but I'd like a reference to do that with, right? So on the architecture tab, let's come down to the work plane panel, and we're going to click on ref plane right here. Now, I want that reference plane to be right at the center of this wall, but notice that I can just zoom in on it. I'm doing that by just wheeling my mouse away from me. If I wheel it towards me, I zoom out. If my mouse, I mean my wheel. See, I'm zooming in and out by scrolling on my wheel. If I hold my wheel down, look at that, I can pan. See that? So I'm going to zoom into this area here. Okay. I want to find the midpoint. Sometimes it's hard to do. I want to find the midpoint of the inside face of that wall. If you can't find it, if you just kind of move your cursor over the inside face, type SM, that is snap mid, and that will locate that midpoint of that wall. Once you see that triangular tip show up, just pick it. All right, and then move your cursor horizontally over to the right, just whatever random distance is fine. To make sure it's straight, because if it's at an angle, you're going to be bumming. Pick that point, then hit escape a few times. Okay. Now here's what I want to do. This is as important as the template itself. I want to save this, right? And it's no fun losing work. So click the save button right here. That little old-fashioned floppy disk looking icon there. We're going to click that, and I am going to save it wherever you want. Usually it was class, I'd have you save it to your documents folder, but I just, wherever you can find it on your computer is fine with me. I'm going to save mine in Syracuse University. You are architecture, beginning. It's all this crap. Okay, I'm going to save it right here. Call it architectural, ARCHI, architectural, and then just put an underscore in and put your initials in. For the options, click the option button. Let's just save one backup. If you didn't do that, if you click save before this, don't worry about it. It's not the end of the world. And I'm going to click save. Always want to save. Okay. Now what I want to do is hold down your control key. Notice that there's a little plus arrow next to your cursor. Hold down the control key, select this wall, and then select this wall. Notice that they both are selected. Also, another way to select it, I'm going to hit escape. If you pick a window, starting from the right to the left, I should say if you pick a box, there's no windows in our model yet. If you pick a box from the right to the left, notice that all you need to do is come into contact with one of these elements and it becomes selected, right? If you pick a box from the left to the right, notice the behavior is different, right? You have to have the entire object ensconced within that box for it to become selected. So one of those three methods, go ahead and select these two walls. Also in the lower right-hand corner, you'll see a little filter with a number next to it. That's how many items that you have selected. I have 2 selected. I had 2 selected. Now I have 2 selected again. Okay. With these 2 walls selected, on the Modify panel, click the Mirror Pick Axis button. Notice there is a shortcut, but so from now on, I'm going to say type MM for Mirror Pick Axis, but this time we'll click the icon right here, Mirror Pick Axis. Over this horizontal line here and pick it. Hit escape a few times. Oh, yeah. So the reason I hit escape a few times is that's how you get out of a command in Revit. That's how you deselect an object. So by hitting escape, it just kind of clears the command out. It's such second nature to me that I sometimes forget to explain that. It's like some people have pretty low bandwidth. Okay.
Hey, Professor, could you repeat the process of how you put the horizontal line?
Yes, of course. So I'll get rid of that guy or girl. I don't know the gender of it. So I'm going to select this, delete that reference plane. So on the Architecture tab, on the Work Plane panel, click the Ref Plane button right here. Now the key is we want to get the center line of this wall right here. I'm sorry, the midpoint of it. So as I was illustrating, we can zoom in on it by scrolling our wheel button and come right up to the very center of that wall until we hit that midpoint. You'll see the little triangle snap tip. If you can't quite get it, just type SM for snap mid, and then you'll be able to get it. Now, once we see the midpoint of the inside face, pick that point, and we're just going to move our cursor to the right in a horizontal plane, and we're going to pick a point to the right. Escape a couple times, and then it's in. Did you get it?
Yes, Professor, thank you.
Excellent. Now, what we want to do is we want to select these 2 walls to mirror them down. So I'm just going to hold down my Control key, select this one, select that one. I'm going to let go of my Control key. I'm going to click on the Mirror Pick Axis button right here. And I'm going to simply pick my reference plane. We're going to be doing a lot of this with this reference plane. It's quite handy. And hit escape a couple times. Good? Excellent. Okay, now we need to see what this is. And some of your like elevation markers probably in the over here or something. Doesn't matter. This we're gonna, don't move it now, but we're gonna move it in a minute. But I want to look at what our building actually looks like. So what we need to do is we need to orient ourselves to a 3D view. So you see this little house icon up here, the little 3D view icon. Yeah, go ahead and click on that. And this is our building. Right. See, we have a level 1 and a level 2 that don't seem to really correspond with our building, but they will in a moment. What I'm interested, though, is in the composition of our building here. So I want to change the view. So basically, down here, this is called the View Control toolbar, right? We can change the scale of our view. We can change the detail level of our view. That will come in handy in a minute. We can also change the visual style, right? So if you click the visual style, let's go up to graphic display options. Now the style, let's put it on realistic. We can make a view with the transparency. I do that sometimes. Shadows, I don't know. We can cast both shadows and ambient shadows. Let's just cast ambient shadows. Now let's cast them, but okay, whatever. You're the architect. You can do whatever you want. I don't really want sketchy lines. Lighting. Let's crank the sun all the way up. trust me, you'll be playing with these settings quite a bit. These are not rendering settings. These are just going to be how we display this view. We can fully render a view with lighting and sky and images. But this is just to get a nice kind of realistic view. I'm going to click OK. Hang on one second. And depending on your processor speed, it will, you know, here's our building. Okay. Now the thing I want to look at though is down here on this little ledge. I want to be careful of that when we actually draw a radial wall out front here. But one thing I want to do though is show you this wall itself, right? So if I select this wall, notice that I have properties right here, okay? If I was to change any of these properties that are immediately available, don't do it. I'm just going to do it for example. It's only going to affect that wall we have selected or the item we have selected, right? So what happens is we have this set of instance parameters. So each wall we can change a parameter of. Go ahead and click this button here, though. This is edit type. And trust me, we're going to be clicking these buttons a lot throughout the semester. So don't worry if you leave and don't remember every single little button I picked. But let's go to edit type. Right now, these are the type properties. All of these properties, if we change anything here, it's going to affect every one of these CMU brick and metal stud walls, right? But if we click on the preview button here, we'll get like a plan view of our wall. It doesn't look like that in our plan, but we're going to change that. For the view down here, let's toggle that to section modified type attributes. Now this is what that wall is. These are little voids actually. And when we put a curtain wall in, it's going to delete those and give us a warning, but we're not there yet, right? So here's what our wall looks like. Now, if we want to build this wall up, notice that we have a structure, right? And we have an edit button right here. If we drill into this, it brings up a whole nother set of layers. Now, these are the materials that I was kind of talking about earlier. All of these materials are quantifiable, right? We can use these in material takeoffs, estimates, and also for green building, for LEED, right? This is what we use. A lot of times we'll play around with the materials. You know, the building we're looking at here is not going to get us a lot of LEED credits, okay? But in here is where you can specify that wall composition, right? And you can get costing. The biggest reason people don't do green building is because of the cost, right? You got to balance that with the budget of the client. But as we scroll into here, notice that we have a material on brick common. I selected it, turns that layer blue. If we click the ellipsis button, the little browse button right here, what we're going to see is if we jump into that, what we'll see is here's our material. Now, what's cool about our materials in Revit is the fact that our hatch pattern is applied to the material as well, right? So when we go to an elevation or section, when we cut it in section, we see the different hatch patterns. So we don't have to continuously go back and add these drafting components to our model. They're there already, right? But if we go to the appearance tab, right, and we click on the image, here's where we can map out the actual brick or whatever that's going to be, right? If you got on the presentation we all did for our professional electives, you probably saw me going through Slocum Hall. And I just went up to the columns, went into the marble room, just took pictures of that material. And that's how I mapped it out onto the actual building to get that realistic look. So I went way deep into some dialogues, Anya, just to explain to you how much is actually behind the scenes in Revit. It doesn't look like a lot on the surface, but it's a pretty powerful program. Okay, that being said, let's just close out all these dialogues. You can hit cancel, cancel. I don't want to actually change anything. I just want to show you. all of that. Are there any questions?
How do you orbit the model?
Oh, that's a good question. So if you hold down your shift key, hold down the wheel button on your mouse, you can orbit, right? So shift, hold down the wheel button, you can orbit that puppy. Now, if you're in a project the size of the Syracuse airport, it gets tough. So what you can do, if you just select like a wall, like this wall here, now if you hold down the shift key and the wheel button, notice that it will orbit around the element you have selected, which comes in handy. Great question, thank you. I forgot to explain that. Now remember, hit escape a couple times to deselect these items. Okay, now what we want to do is we want to draw a radial wall in the front of this. All right, to do that though, we need to go back to level 1. Yeah, there's a tab here, but now if we take a look over here at the project browser, okay, this contains views of the model. That's all these are. We could delete these and we'd still have the model, okay? But if we just, on the floor plan, level 1, if we just double click that, notice that it's gonna go back to that floor plan that we had, right? But also notice on our view control toolbar, these are back to the settings we had before, because of the fact that that 3D view is a view, right? So our visibility graphics, all of that stuff only pertains to that view, right? We can duplicate these views, we can make blow up views, we can make color coded plan views. Those settings won't affect, like say for example, the view you have on a sheet that you want to print. So that being said, we do understand that this isn't quite illustrative of that wall that we know is here, right? We want to keep it at 1/8 of an inch, but we also want to change our detail level, right? Our detail level is set for coarse. I don't want that. I want our detail level in this view to be fine. Now what's going to happen is that's going to expose those layers that we looked at in that dialogue, right? Here they are. Here's our hatch pattern, you know, nice thick outlines, and we can see that concrete belt course, right? Hit save just because it's a good idea. Everyone get that? Anyone not get it? Okay. I really like teaching in person better. I'll tell you, the drive home is nice though. You just got to walk 5 feet that way. That is a little better. I'm not gonna lie. Was there a hand up? I heard a doink noise. Someone doinked it. Okay, good. I can see the people who don't have a great connection. I'm not criticizing. I'm not criticizing. Okay, here's what we want to do. I want to draw a radial wall, just like that. All right. Now the trick is in Revit, kind of zoom in. Notice that as I move around, I don't even kind of think about it. You know, as I speak, I'm constantly moving around my model by panning. You know, get used to doing that, because that's pretty much just how you get through Revit. It's got a feel to it that it just takes time to get used to. But if I want another one of these walls here, right? All I gotta do is right click and create similar. See that? So if I right click right on that wall, and I'm gonna create similar. And when we get into interior partitions and fire ratings and those kinds of things, it's nice to be like, oh, I want one of those walls. Right click, create similar, right? What that does is it starts the wall command and it sets our current wall at our location line, okay? So I'll do that one more time. I'm gonna right click on this wall. I'm going to create similar. Now, the weird thing in Revit is we don't have like conditional drafting commands. Okay, so we need to start the modeling command and then we look at how we're going to place our geometry, right? So now we have a draw panel and here you'll see your traditional, you know, rectangle, arc, you know, polygon. So our wall command is started. Catherine, did you have a question?
I do. Okay, so hypothetically, if you were messing around with the panning and the zooming and you zoomed out
Yeah.
all the way out of the model and you can't find the
Oh.
model anymore, how do you find the model again?
Hit escape a couple times.
Yeah.
Type ZA.
ZA. Thank you.
No problem.
I
Actually, let's
appreciate
have
it.
no problem. Actually, let's all do this. Let's type WT. Let's have everyone type WT. Now let's type ZA. See what happens is we kind of tile these two views, right? A lot of times when I'm working, and this happens, you get, it's gone, right? Or you can also double click your wheel button. We'll bring it back into focus as well, right? But now as I work, if I want to start modeling and, you delete something and it deletes it. It's the model, right? So these are just two views of the same model, right? So that was a good question because I forgot to have you show how to tile these. So thank you. Let's close out of the 3D
No
view.
problem. I'm great at doing that.
Good. Good. Let's close out of here. I'm going to double click my wheel button. It's going to kind of zoom in. I can't help but pan it. It's like I'm a twitchy guy. I can't help it. Here's what I want to do. I want to right click on that wall and I want to create similar. Bam. Now on my draw panel, I want to click on the Start End Radius Arc button. Okay. So basically it's start, end, direction. So we're going to pick the first point of the arc, the last point of the arc, then we're going to move our cursor in the direction in which we want it to go. Right. So I'm going to zoom into here. So we pick the Start End Radius Arc button, and you can clearly see which is the exterior of the wall, right? So we're going to grab that endpoint right there, right there. I'm going to zoom in obnoxiously close, right there. Got that one there. Boop. Now I'm going to come down, 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 and I'm going to pick this endpoint right here. Computer sounds like it's ready to take off at this point right here. Now notice that it will kind of snap. It kind of snapped to the quadrant like that. See that? You can go past it. But we want to just make it go right there. And you'll see it says 180 degrees, right? So we'll pick that point. I think I'm missing some chat going on here. I missed something. Oh, the book. I'm sorry. And then Max answered. Oh, Andrea, I'm sorry. Did you get it? Because Andrea, you asked a question. Oh, good. Okay. Excellent. Okay. Anyone not get this? It's funny because the chat says say something. It's like I've been talking. Let me say something. Go back to the attendees. Okay. Now, the problem is this thing, right? Some of yours might even be in your freaking wall like that. This is an annotation. This is an elevation marker. Just like when I was double clicking on the call out bubble and the section markers, that's all this is. That's what this is. So we want to move it, but we need to move both of these items together, right? Because this is the pointer. So we can have 4 elevations on this body, but we need to move them together. So what I want to do is if you pick a box, right? So if you pick a point in your upper left-hand corner and pull your cursor down until that pointer and that box are completely within that pick box, you can let go of the other point, right? It's blue. You're going to hover over it, and all you got to do is just once you see that little move sign, just drag it out. It doesn't have to be precise. We're just going to drag it out of our building. We're going to hit escape a few times. Everyone get that? Anyone not get it? Good. Excellent. Okay. Now I want to go to one of these elevations. Let's go to our south elevation. So let's double click on this little button right here, right on this little target pointer here. Just double click right on it. We're in the south elevation, right? Here's our brick pattern, because we know that's our material, right? We can verify it. You don't have to do this, but you know, if we go to realistic, and here's our building, right? I want to make this hidden line though. Okay. Yours is already hidden line. One thing though is we have are the levels. So there's two things we have left to do. I want to make 7 levels. We're going to rename them, and then we're going to add a curtain wall, and we'll be done. Okay. So with these levels, though, they're kind of in my building a little bit. Some of yours might even be worse. Some of yours might be like into there. So what we do is I find it a little easier. Maybe if you scroll out and select one of these levels, either one of them, by grabbing the line. Right, see how it says 3D, there's a little line and a lock, and there's all kinds of stuff going on. Or if you can't get that, just select the zeros on level 1, right? And you'll see that. But either one that you have selected, right, there's going to be a little grip right here. You see that grip is right where our horizontal line meets our datum bubble, right? I want you to hover over that grip, pick it, and then I want you to drag it out of the wall. You can still, with your middle finger, scroll in and out. You might get carpal tunnel from using Revit. I probably have it. But we can kind of move that over to here. You see that? And this is where Revit gets a little quirky. It just kind of takes a feel. I've seen people drag walls by doing that. And it can get messy. I'm not going to lie. You might butcher a couple buildings your first time out, but you'll be fine. Okay. So I'm guessing everyone got that. Now the thing is, okay, level 2 is 10 feet. That's not very high for a commercial building, depending. Chances are you're going to put an 8-foot ceiling in there, and once we get structure in there, we get a second floor slab. We got 6 inches left for MEP. All right, so we want to raise that a bit, help out your consultants. So to do that, I want to just select level 2. Okay. For a 10-foot increment, click on where it says 10 feet, and let's just change that to 12 feet. Hit enter. Level 2 is going to move up to 12 feet. Everyone get that?
Could you repeat that?
I can, yes. I want to do it. So now I'm going to hit escape a few times. I'm going to zoom into level 2, and I'm just going to select it anywhere on it. Now notice all these items that turn blue. These can all be modified. The 10-foot dimension is what I want to modify. So if you select the 10-foot again, that enters into the input dialog, and we're just going to type in 12 feet, and we're going to hit enter. And that should adjust level 2 up, and it will adjust everything that's on level 2 up as well. Did you get it?
Yep.
Nice. Okay, now the next part's a little tougher. So here's what I need you to do. Zoom out until you can see it like about this, because we're going to add 7 levels. So you just kind of think about if you can see 7 levels. Now this is where Revit takes a little patience. I've never gotten through this without someone needing some help, so don't worry if you do. And this is all completely online, so if we make it through this, it'll be a miracle. Not to impugn any of your abilities, just that this one's a little bit weird, right? I want to make 7 levels, right? I want to make 5 additional levels. So if we right-click on level 2, remember when we did that with the wall and we created similar? Let's do the same thing, level 2. We're going to right-click. We're going to create similar. Now here's where it gets odd, okay? Now, anytime in Revit you start a command, look up at your options, because starting the command is just the beginning of it, right? We don't have an offset command in Revit. So what we're going to have to do is on our draw panel, we're going to have to click on pick lines. Right? Pick lines. And that offset wants to be 12 feet. So you can type 12 into the offset dialog. Okay. Now, not done yet. If you hover over level 2, but I want you to approach it coming down on it, right? So when you hover over it like that, notice that it will create like a temporary line above it. If you don't see it above it, that means it went below it, and that's no good for anybody. So we're going to hover over it. Once you see that temporary line, just pick level 2 right where your cursor is, and it's going to create level 3. Okay. Now the command is still running. That's what throws people off. And also look at your project browser. 1, 2, 3, and we have a site plan, which is fine, right? So we're going to do it again. We're going to hover over level 3 from the top down, right? Just like that, and we're going to get it. We're going to get her. Now we're going to do level 5, and we're going to do level 6. Now notice how slow I'm going. Now in Revit, I found that you just need to be more deliberate with what you're doing. Again, you kind of slow it down, and trust me, you can probably already tell I'm a pretty hyperactive person. So it took me a while to get used to this process, right? So we're going to hover over level 6, and now we have level 7, and I want you to hit escape a few times. Now hopefully everyone got that. Andrea?
Mine skipped from level 2 to 5, and then 4, and then 6, and then 7.
Gotcha. That's fine. Also, it sounds like you got Revit installed.
Yeah.
Yes. Did it work, the stuff I gave you, or?
No, I finally got I uninstalled like all Autodesk products from my computer, and then I was able to install Revit.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Okay, so good. Okay, so for the levels, it's kind of hard to tell. So it goes level 2 to something else. So what I would do is I would do this. See the undo? This is probably the best bet. There's a little drop down next to undo. Click that and just go back to the level. See how it says level, 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 level? Go back to that. And then that's going to just get you back to level 2. Because there's probably a level on top of a level. We start deleting levels and it gets a little tough to figure out. So were you able to undo back to just level 1 and 2?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Hit escape a couple times. Now let's right click on level 2. Let's create similar. On the draw panel, pick lines. And for our offset, let's type in 12. Now we want to offset level 2 upward, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to hover over level 2 until we see that alignment line show up above the wall there. Once you see that, pick it, but just pick it once. And it should say level 3. Now, if you pick anything else, it's going to screw you up, right? So we have level 2, we have level 3. Now, if you do the same, make sure you just hover over the top of level 3. Make sure you see that alignment line show up above it before you commit to picking it, because that's what generally happens. So I'm going to hover over this, level 3. I'm going to pick it, and it's going to be level 4, right? And you can see your project browser is building, right? You can pan down. Just make sure you don't pick anything. Now level 4, 5, same thing, 6, 7. Then I'm going to hit escape. Did you get it?
Yeah. Thank you.
Nice. No problem at all. And I go that slow too, honestly, because if you think about it, we're building the floor plans for this building. You know, this is a building that you could be working on for 2 years. You know, when you're at a design firm, it's no crime to take all the time in the world that you need to model something. And trust me, you're gonna have people, oh yeah, you gotta get this thing. Believe me, from the experiences I've had, the only regrets that I ever have modeling this stuff is, man, I wish I just thought this through a little more at the beginning of it, right? That's just my advice. Okay, so I'm gonna hit escape a few times. Now we want to zoom into level 7. I want to rename level 7. So we're going to select level 7. We're going to pick where it says level 7. All caps. Cap locks on. We're going to call it parapet. 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 Everyone knows what a parapet is? Does anyone not know what a parapet is? Good. So we're going to hit enter. Now it's going to say, would you like to rename corresponding views? Absolutely yes. Don't be the person that doesn't do it, because watch what happens. We click yes and check it out. Our project browser is coordinated with what's on our screen, right? We always want that to be coordinated. You get lost quick. Now let's rename level 6 to roof, all caps, ROOF. Enter. Yes, we want to rename corresponding views, so let's just click yes. Everyone get it? Anyone not get it?
I got it, but I noticed on on the lower left on the floor plan sheet, now the roof is like below the parapet layer
Yep.
in the
Just like
project
that, right?
browser.
Oh, yeah, you know, yes. So the project browser is alphabetical. You can change it. Yeah, and it's, you know, every firm has a way of organizing their project browser. At my firm, I do organize it just the way you noticed. Well, just the way you would think it would be. I organize it from the lowest level to the highest level, right? Which makes sense, right? But right now, by default, out of the box, it's alphabetical. So, yeah, because it doesn't seem right. And what's not right either is a 12-foot high parapet, which is not correct, but we're going to change that in a minute. It's a good question. Thank you. I like when people notice that stuff. Hey, let's go to a 3D view. Remember how to do that? We click on this little icon here. We're getting close, folks. We're going to click on the 3D view. Remember that? Now, this one's tricky too. So what I need you to do is notice if you hover your cursor over one of those walls. See my hands? I'm not touching anything. I'm not picking anything. But I hover my cursor over that wall, and it kind of highlights it blue, right? So if you hover your cursor without picking it and hit your tab key, just tap it once. Don't hold it down, but just tap it. You're going to select all of the walls, right? So I'm going to do it one more time. I'm going to hit escape a couple times. I'm going to hover. I'm going to tab. Now I'm going to pick it. Now I'm going to, with my, you know, left button, I'm going to pick it. And we should have all these walls selected. Okay. Now notice in our properties, because before I said, listen, if I change the top constraint, it's going to only affect the one wall. That's why we had to select them all. So for my top constraint, instead of unconnected, I want to move all of my top constraints up to level parapet, just like this. Now, these walls are going to be constrained to that parapet level. Hit skip a couple times. We got it. Well, it's very shiny. Some shiny brick. Anyone not get it? I can. Yeah, this is a weird one. So if you didn't get it, I'm going to do it again. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hover my cursor right over that wall, but I'm not going to select it. So I hover it over, it highlights it blue. Now I'm just on my keyboard, I'm just going to hit my tab key. Just going to hit it once. Don't hold it down, just tap it. It's going to highlight all of the walls now. Now what we need to do is we do need to pick it. So just with your index finger, hit that pick button, and it's going to select them all. Now with them selected, I'm going to set my top constraint instead of unconnected. And hit my drop down here, and I'm going to set my top constraint up to level parapet. I'm going to go up to the parapet. Did that work, Kevin? Nice. All right. Hit escape a couple times. Hey, Catherine. Question?
Hey, the lines didn't show up when I got into like the view, which is kind of weird. Like I could like select all of the walls and stuff and then put it up to parapet through the properties tab. But
Yep.
like I just want to know why the lines didn't show up, like of the like floor levels.
Oh, these?
Yeah,
Oh, they're not showing up in your 3D view?
no. I do have Revit like 2018. Is that
That's
why?
the reason. Yes. New to Revit 2020, you can now see levels in 3D view.
Damn, they're not hard.
Yep, they got you. They're stinkers.
Thanks.
That's pretty much the only thing they changed too. So, yeah. But yeah, that's the reason. As long as it worked, I guess. But I forgot how tough it was back then. Okay, here's what we're going to do. Let's go to our south elevation. So in our project browser, let's scroll down under elevations. Let's go to south elevation. Or you can just click on the tab here if you haven't closed it out, right? Because notice that when I go to my south elevation, it's highlighted in my project browser, right? Now, for my parapet, that's too high. That's going to want to fall, you know? You've never stood on a roof and had the parapet over your head, right? It's always been a ledge. You can put your beer on or whatever it is you're up there doing. So I'm going to select my parapet. Instead of 72 feet, I want to change that to 64 feet. 64, hit enter. 4 feet's about what you're going to see, maybe a little higher. 64 is what you generally are going to see up there these days. That's a little better. But notice that we constrain the top of our wall to that. We don't extrude it. We don't have like separate dimensions we type in. Our walls are constrained now from our parapet level to level 1, right? Let's hit our save button. We have one more thing to do, and I'm going to let you guys, I know you probably are home. That I let you go home. But I want to put a curtain wall in here. You all know curtain wall system, right? I'm sure you do, you're architects. So what I want to do is I want to go down to level 1. Again, we can either click our tabs or we can go to level 1 in the project browser. The only reason I'm belaboring the project browser is because I want you to get used to the fact that that's where our views are for our model. Now in level 1, I'm going to zoom out. I'm going to zoom in on this radial wall because we're going to put a curtain wall here, and then later we're going to put a structure behind it, a nice tube steel structure to support that, kind of like like Whitman Hall. Any curtain wall, it's just glass and extruded aluminum. So that wall system needs another wall system or structure to support itself. You generally don't see the aluminum and glass just standing there on its own. It has a hard time not falling over. So we're going to embed a curtain wall into this wall, and then next month or so we're going to actually add tube steel and we're going to support that. Okay, So on the architecture tab, we're going to click the wall button, just like we did before. So you guys are pros now. Architecture wall. Right now, for our properties, we're going to click the wall drop down, and there's different types of walls. So if we go all the way down to the bottom, right, we're going to get to curtain wall, then we're going to get to storefronts. Did anyone not see that? Excellent. And storefront's another name for a curtain wall. It's a very common name. So we're not designing like a strip plaza here. It's storefront, you know, a little strip mall. That's just what they call it. Let's click edit type. Now there's a couple settings I just want to change. We're gonna get into curtain walls for like a full night. But in this case, for our vertical grid, for the layout, instead of maximum spacing, actually, yeah, let's keep it at maximum spacing. For the spacing, let's go 4 feet. Notice I just typed 4, and I don't type the feet or anything. I just type 4 and hit enter, and it's going to know that it's feet and inches. Okay, okay. Now, for the horizontal grid, the layout, I'd like that to be also maximum spacing, and I'd also like that to be 4 feet. Okay. Don't adjust for mullion size, because basically when you don't adjust it for mullion size, that means it's going to be laid out from the center of the mullions, right? Let the glass curtain wall manufacturer figure out how big those panels are. You don't want to get into that. You don't want that liability. Just dimension from the center line of your mullions and make them figure it out. They're going to give you shop drawings that you're going to approve. It's another tedious part of your career that you've chosen, reviewing shop drawings. So maximum 4 feet, maximum 4 feet. Click OK. All right. Now, here's what we need to do. For our settings, right? Base constraint is going to be level 1. That's what we want. Our base offset, I want it to be 3'7". I just happen to know that belt course, that concrete belt course is up 3'7". So if you type 3 space 7 and hit enter, Revit will fill in the feet and inches for you. Okay. Don't type 37 because that's 37 feet. It's going to be too high. 3 space 7, enter. Okay. Top constraint. I want that to go up to level roof. The top constraint is going to go up to level roof. And then there's going to be a night where we do roofing systems. So our top offset, I just want to knock that down a foot. So type in -1, hit enter. -1, enter. Okay, hit apply. Oh, this is exciting. Now on the draw panel, I want to click on pick lines. We're going to literally pick the center line of that wall. So click on pick lines. Now let's zoom in on this wall here. Hover over the center of it. Notice that you get that little like dotted line that shows up, right? You can only pick the exterior, interior, middle. So if you're somewhere in the neighborhood, it's the right spot, right? So I'm going to pick it right on the center of my wall here. Boop. Okay, and we get this warning, 1 out of 3. This is those reveals that was in that wall. It just deleted them, which is fine. They're gone because it's been replaced with curtain wall. So with that warning, we're just going to close out of it. You know, go to a 3D view. And, you know, there we have it. It's very pretty. Did you guys get it? Did anyone not get it? Great, great. So, I think this is a good time to break, right? I think this is a good stopping point. So again, like I was explaining, so you do have a just start thinking about something you might want to model, right? Because you can see, I mean, we put this shell up pretty quick. Obviously, it's a big empty building. But to be honest, the picks and the clicks that we did today are identical for almost everything we do in Revit. It's just a process. It's just getting used to it, right? So, you know, think about a structure you might want to do. And if you want to ping me for advice on that, I'd be more than happy to help. It looks like the chat's good. What were the commands to open multiple viewpoints and to refocus on the model? Nice. So if you type in WT for window tile, and then ZA for zoom all, that'll do it. Or if you go to the view tab, I believe, yeah. So there's tile views here. And then zoom all is, I don't know if there's an actual icon for that. Yeah, zoom all is just going to be ZA. ZA. Did that answer your question, I hope? Excellent. Excellent. So that's all I got to say about that. If you guys are good, I think we can, oh, my thing locked up. So if you guys are good, I guess that's it. I'll let you go for the night. Hopefully you can hear me. And we'll talk to you. Yeah, hello.
Yeah, Professor, could you show the process to get the wall details in plan view?
Yeah, it looks like my Zoom, it looks like I'm locked up. So I'm moving my screen and it's not quite, I think my meeting session got locked up. Luckily you can hear me. But what you need to do is go to level 1 floor plan. Okay, you can't, my movements aren't really working. So go to level 1 floor plan, and on the very bottom of the view, you'll see it'll say 1/8 of an inch equals a foot. Do you see that?
Yeah.
Right to the right of that, there is another icon. If you hover over that, it says detail level. You want to set that to fine.
Oh, okay.
And that'll do it. Wow, it's weird I got locked up. Hopefully that doesn't happen often.
Yeah, I can see your screen now.
You can see it moving and stuff?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't. Oh, that's weird. I guess maybe just I got locked up on my part. Okay, as long as you guys can see me, I guess that works. So, any other questions?